What is going on, guys? Nick Smith here. Welcome to a very special video, as I would say, where I'm being quarantined, where all of us are being quarantined. Well, actually, technically not me, because I still actually have to go to work. I know, crazy, but it's also a blessing. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to make a video that has something to do with a very special time in my life. And that's the air conditioner going off, if you can hear it. Now, for those of you who know me, or who do not, I'm just going to go ahead and say I have a special type of relationship with the Star Wars prequels. Now, I already know what a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, you know, Star Wars, the prequels, they suck, they're not good movies, they're terrible, they ruin everything. I will admit they're not the best, but I'm just going to go on ahead and say, and I have no shame admitting this, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, is my favorite Star Wars movie of all time. I am probably sure I just lost a buttload of viewers. I don't care. I love Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, but I also have a somewhat interesting relationship with Star Wars Episodes 2 and 3. Even though I know, oh gosh, do I know Attack of the Clones, it is not the best out of the movies. Oh, that was a hard movie to sit through. I went back and watched it like 2 weekends ago, and it took me till midnight to get through that. But the reason why I have a special relationship with these movies is for one reason and one reason only. These movies, my dad took me to see them. That was like the one thing my dad and I did all the time. He took me to some of the best movies I had ever seen, besides Star Wars Episode 2. A majority of the movies that I seen that had such an influence on me as a kid were because it was something my dad took me to see. My dad took me to see my favorite Star Wars movies of all time. My dad took me to see one of my favorite comic book movies of all time. The Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie from 2002. My dad took me to see that. Those are memories I'm always going to hold dear. Now, in regards to Star Wars Episode 2, I remember I was in second grade when this came out. Gosh, that seems like such a long time. I was in second grade when it came out. And, you know, I remember, I think I had just got done doing my homework, or it was the weekend. And this was back around the time when my mom was a nurse, and, you know, she was working all the time. She still works all the time now, but she works from home. So it was just me and Dad on Friday night, and he said, "Hey son, do you want to go watch a new Star Wars?" I was like, I mean, like, you know, when someone asks to take you to the new Star Wars, you don't say no. You say, okay, yes, please take me. Me and Dad went and seen Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. I remember to this day, we sat down. There was a line up to the display of the movies and the times. And I just remember, like, I was really excited because I was getting to see a Star Wars movie. Because this is actually, well, no, it was the second one I seen in theaters. But I didn't get to see that with my dad. So I didn't care really about, I mean, I cared about the movie, but the most important thing I cared about was I was getting to watch a movie with my dad. And I can remember, like, you know, asking my dad, oh, what's that mean? Oh, someone just told me that that's Luke Skywalker. And my dad's just like, no, son, that's not Luke Skywalker. I remember, like, when we see Yoda for the very first time pull out that lightsaber and watching him bounce around like a freaking pinball in a pinball machine was one of the funniest things I had ever seen. I could not stop laughing. My dad's reaction was priceless. One of the best things I've ever seen in my life. Then a couple years later, Star Wars Episode 3 came out. The Star Wars movie that I defend to this day, and just like how I will defend Daredevil to my grave and Ghost Rider 2 to my grave, I will defend Star Wars Episode 3 until the day I die. That was also another special moment. You know, it was the, you know, like, we were finally getting the end of the Star Wars series. I had seen Star Wars Episodes 4, 5, 6, 1, and 2. Star Wars Episode 3, I had always wondered, what did Vader look like under the armor? What made him become Darth Vader? I mean, even though we kind of know through a certain point of view, thanks to Ben Kenobi, I wanted to see what happened to him to make him wear that armor. What was he like before he was Darth Vader? I've never reviewed Star Wars Episode 1, and I don't know if I ever will. If you want to see that, let me know, and I may consider it. But we went to go see Star Wars Episode 3. I begged my dad. I was like, Dad, Star Wars Episode 3 is out. Can we please go see it? But what happened was our theater in town didn't have it. So we had to go to this other theater called Tinseltown, which when I was a kid I used to call Tinkletown, and I had no idea what I was saying. You know, it was at this big theater, and it made it even more special. And I don't have this booklet anymore. I think I threw it away. But, you know, it came with this book. When we got there, we got these booklets that had the history, the years when the movies were released, what the future of Star Wars was going to be, where George Lucas, the rumor was George Lucas was going to give the rights to his son, and his son was maybe going to take over. Seeing Star Wars Episode 3 was one of the best experiences I had in the movie theater, because not only was it with my dad, but it was also at a very fancy theater that we didn't go to that often, and that's actually the same theater where I saw the first Spider-Man movie. So it was just a glorious time, and the fact of the matter is, I only had to watch Star Wars Episode 3 one time to fall in love with it. Same thing with Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Yes, it has to do with the fact that these movies has a special bond to me because of my dad. But also, there was just something about Star Wars Episode 3 that really connected with me. And I was so interested. I loved the movie. And I said to that day, this is my favorite Star Wars movie of all time. Then I finally went back and I watched Star Wars Episode 2. Oh my gosh, this movie isn't good. Star Wars Episode 2, you know, I always wondered in Lego Star Wars, remember when that game came out, Lego Star Wars? Lego Star Wars, the Attack of the Clones part of the game, actually had you starting out on Kamino, the Boba Fett mission. And I was like, this is weird. Why are we not getting that much more about the other parts of the movie? And I finally realized why. Because nothing really happens in the movie other than the fact that we get that chase scene with the changeling bounty hunter. Nothing really happens. It's just all talking, exposition, Anakin Skywalker being creepy. Gosh, his dialogue. And I'm sure Hayden Christensen has done great things, but the directing that they gave him in Episode 2 is terrible. Go and watch the riff tracks. It is just awful. And his dialogue about, I don't like sand. Yes, I can understand. He was on a planet, and he was a slave, and there was sand. But him just like, you know, saying, I don't like sand. It's rough and coarse. It gets everywhere. Not like here. Everything here is soft and smooth as he's gently touching Padme's bare back. I didn't think anything of it. And now, seeing that, I'm just like, gosh, that's so creepy. And Padme even says one time in the movie, you're making me feel uncomfortable. I think she says that one or two times, that you are making me uncomfortable. And their chemistry is not good. And I still wonder, how is it that you fall in love with Anakin Skywalker? Because the storytelling in Episode 2 isn't good. The CGI is, oh my gosh, it's terrible. It's so terrible. It doesn't look like anything is real except for the humans, and sometimes the human actors don't even look real because of how bad the CGI is, and it's everywhere. Everything is a green screen almost. It was painful to watch. This was like my second Spy Kids 3D, which eventually that review is coming. But the one thing I never knew was that all the clones were CGI, all of them. Even when the actor who played Jango Fett, who played all the clones, I had no idea they were all CGI when I first seen it. But now, after hearing everything and going back and watching, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is an eyesore to look at. And like, I'm honestly just wondering, okay, look, we had stormtroopers in the first 3 movies of Star Wars back then. They were all people in suits. Why could they just not have the people put on the suits? Like, did they just run out of time, or were they lazy? Could, like, maybe the camera not handle that many people or something? I really don't know. I really don't, but I'm just saying, this just screams laziness. And I'm going to tell you the worst thing that I had ever seen in Star Wars Episode 2, the fight with Count Dooku and the fight with Count Dooku. Which that's actually a plot hole that I realized. When I was going back and watching the film, all of a sudden Padme brings up, I think Count Dooku was behind it. Okay, question. Who is Count Dooku? Why bring him up? What is it about this character that makes him the suspect? We never got anything about Count Dooku before, unless, like, you had to go back and either read the books or a comic or something. We got nothing. And I just picked that out. And Christopher Lee, may he rest in peace, a fine, true actor in his own. Whenever he is fighting, oh my gosh, they CGI'd his entire head, and it was the most terrifying thing I had ever seen. One of the most cringeworthy things I've ever seen. And I have watched 4 out of 5 Sharknado movies. And those were so bad that it was good. This was so bad it hurt. All respect to Christopher Lee. I was like, oh my gosh. Just no, this is terrible. The banter between Anakin and Obi-Wan is awful. You don't really get the sense of we're friends. You get more of that in Episode 3, which I will go ranking. If I were to rank Star Wars Episode 2, I don't really know what to give it. I honestly don't think I can. It gets a poorly CGI'd green screen out of 5. Gosh. Okay, so Star Wars Episode 3. Now, actually, when Star Wars Episode 3 came out, I actually kind of spoiled the movie for myself, because this was around the time when the first Lego Star Wars game came out. And I remember I was playing Lego Star Wars. I was like, oh, we're going to go watch Lego Star Wars tomorrow. It's going to be great. I actually played all the way through Episode 3, and I kind of ruined Episode 3 for me. But at the same time, I still loved it. And I remember seeing this character, General Grievous. I'm like, okay, well, who is this General Grievous guy? And, like, because, we don't really get that much backstory about him in Episode 3. You have to go back and watch Clone Wars, both the animated and the awesome CGI show, which you should go watch, by the way. And something also that I noticed in Episode 3, almost everybody's lightsaber hilt is Anakin's. Except for, Mace Windu and Yoda and Count Dooku and Obi-Wan. Almost everybody else has Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber hilt, just with a different color blade. Sidious's hilt is the one that he pops out of his sleeve at first, but then if you go back and you watch and you pay attention, you can see the actor is using Anakin Skywalker's hilt. And I was like, did you just run out of time? Like, you clearly had the hilt. Like, was it too small to wield or something? I don't know. But, like, I was just like, okay, that kind of screams laziness. But, like, the one thing I really fell in love with Episode 3 was Order 66. And the whole thing with Order 66, I always wondered, okay, so apparently we're shown in the Clone Wars series and in Star Wars Episode 3, before they turn, the clones seem to have a mutual respect and relationship with the Jedi. So now why all of a sudden would they just turn on them? Now my good buddy Adam Stilner, that's right, I'm plugging you in, said, well, the clones were meant to take orders. I was like, okay. I kind of just feel like now that would be somewhat diabolical if the clones were just pretending to, obey the Jedi and have a close relationship with them. That would have been diabolical, but in the Clone Wars TV show, they did give it away, which I'm not going to spoil that for you because that is a great show. But I was so interested in the whole thing with Order 66. I was like, oh, we're going to see finally, why? When I seen it, I was like, oh my gosh, wait, what? Why are the clones turning on the Jedi? Yes, I knew that they had to become stormtroopers at some point, but I was trying to figure out, why. Of course, everybody's suspicion was, oh, they're just hiding until it's time to, kill them all. But that intrigued me the most. I would honestly say like the one actor in episode 3 who shines the most is Ewan McGregor. He is giving it his all in this movie. You can tell his character has grown so much. Going from an apprentice to a first-time, adult master to a true warrior, his character truly shines. And I love the banter between Obi-Wan and Anakin in episode 3 feels genuine. You genuinely get the feeling that, okay, these two are not just master and apprentice, they're brothers, they're friends. The dialogue in episode 3 is not as cringeworthy, it's better, and it was just something that I enjoyed. I really did enjoy their banter and their relationship that eventually goes to what it goes to. How heartbreaking it is to see Obi-Wan's apprentice burn alive, he has to turn his head away. That was a very touching scene. And one thing I will kind of say that I don't really necessarily agree with, and Rob Walker pointed this out, by the way, you should go and you should listen to the podcast Fanscription. Really good podcast. I strongly recommend that you guys look it up. Rob Walker pointed out something. He didn't really like how Anakin just all of a sudden turned to the dark side. Yes, now I know that Anakin was doing all of this for Padme. He was doing anything he could to save the one he loved. Yes, I get that. But you can see he genuinely has grief for killing Master Windu, and then all of a sudden, boom. Okay, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just gonna blindly go kill a buttload of Jedi, and him killing the younglings. Yes, he's doing his duty to get the power he needs to save his loved one, but I kind of do feel like it was just him all of a sudden, him jumping the gun. Straight from Jedi all the way to Sith. Now, the fight with Anakin and Obi-Wan is done really, it is my favorite lightsaber fight of all time. It always has been. I strongly recommend that you guys go watch it. The way how John Williams was able to craft this soundtrack, Star Wars Episode 3, in my opinion, it has the best soundtrack. It is my favorite Star Wars soundtrack. How he's able to take certain scenes and the music and put these scenes together to craft something really beautiful and masterful, in my opinion. From the freaking theater scene between Anakin and Palpatine, from the scene of when Order 66 is going down, from when Anakin is doing all these terrible things, to Padme's reaction, to Anakin becoming Darth Vader, to Padme's unfortunate death. Now that is another thing. If you guys go back and you watch Return of the Jedi, Leia states that she remembers her mother a little bit. She remembers memories and feelings. But you have Padme die at birth, and now I don't know if anyone can remember anything when they were as a baby. I don't remember jack when I came out of the womb. I don't remember really much. Crap, I broke a pen. It was one of my favorite ones to chew on too. But I don't know if anyone can remember anything from when they were an infant. I can't remember really jack until I was like maybe 4 or 5 max, maybe. So that's a problem I don't think that they can ever fix. And another thing that I, kind of noticed at the end of near the end of the movie, when you see Vader and Sidious staring at the Death Star being built, why is it A, no one ever seen it being built in space, and 2, why were the Jedi not able to sense it? Now you could probably throw out the entire argument, oh well, the whole Sith cloaking thing and how the Jedi were not able to sense it. Yeah. But, I'm figuring, if you're flying through space, someone's going to see it. They've never stated how far out in space the Death Star was. I kind of feel like that might be a little bit of a plot hole. But now, one thing I did find out that was interesting so many years ago of what the actual, ending between Anakin and Padme was actually supposed to be. Apparently what was originally going to happen, but for some reason they scrapped it, was Padme was actually going to be the start of the rebellion. She either figured out Anakin turned to the dark side, or she didn't like what Palpatine was doing, and she met up with the other senators, and they started to form the rebellion. And Padme was actually going to be going on Mustafar to try to kill Anakin with a knife behind her back, and Anakin, knowing that she's got it, but him knowing that she would not be able to do it. And I wish that we would have been able to see that. That would have been, I think, honestly better than kind of what we got. But I really feel like George Lucas pulled out all the stops for Episode 3, and it is, without doubt, my favorite Star Wars movies of all time. And you know what? I think that's about it, guys. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. And like I said, I know the prequels are not the best movies, but they hold a special place in my heart because of who I got to see them with. And that just made the experience all the better. Put in the comments below, what relationship do you have with any of the Star Wars movies? Heck, what relationship do you have with any movies? I'd really like to know. Put that in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button. Go check out my Facebook, my Instagram, and my Patreon, even though I haven't done anything with it in a while. But still, you should check that out. Guys, I hope that you are staying safe and staying healthy with this whole coronavirus thing. My prayers are out for you guys, and I cannot wait to give you all my next video. Have a good day, guys.